Welcome to Eclecticist. Eclecticist is an investigation of everything from a particularly British perspective by two brothers who consider themselves to be reasonably normal fellows, and we do this one topic at a time. We are Jeffrey Campos, an engineer and devil's advocate, that's me, and Benjamin De Campos, a designer and believer. Hello, Ben.
Hello.
We choose a topic of interest, we spend a very small amount of time researching it, we have a discussion, and then at the end we publish the notes. These are available for you to read along on our website, so if you want to press pause, you might want to pop along and download them. We believe the benefit of this is that it fosters a greater understanding of the world before we all expire, and hopefully it prompts some discussion and thought from our listeners. The topic we're wrangling with this episode is celebrity. Famous for one's works, famous for the work of others, famous for being famous. Celebrity has been currency ever since Moses dropped the first set of commandments. In today's age, if you're not famous at 14, you're finished. From Premier League footballers to reality TV desperados to attention-seeking serial killers, celebrity is the ultimate confirmation of one's secret suspicion. I'm special. They may be workaholics, sycophants, obsessives, or uncommonly gifted in their field. They may have had fame thrust upon them. Alcoholics, drug abusers, sexual predators, confidence tricksters, but at least they're not faceless ordinaries. Must we all aspire to celebrity? We're not going to talk about cluster bombs, object relational mapping, or US government using cats to execute prisoners on death row. These are things that we can tackle in another episode. So what is celebrity? When I was reading about celebrity, I just kept synonymizing with fame. I have a couple of definitions here from the Cambridge Dictionary online. Celebrity is someone who is famous, especially in the entertainment business. Fame is the state of being known or recognized by many people because of achievements, skills, etc. So, different in tenses, but effectively the same thing. So we're talking about famous people. Mostly in the entertainment industry, I suppose.
Yeah, that's a weird thing to say, especially in the entertainment business. That sounds pretty strange. That doesn't sound like Cambridge Dictionary online is that great.
Well, I lost my library card, so I was unable to log into the Oxford English Dictionary.
Oh, right. Library card.
Yeah, if you have a library card for any library in the United Kingdom, you're able to access the Oxford English Dictionary online for free.
Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting.
Yet another socialist-leaning benefit of being in the UK.
Indeed.
So, celebrity culture. What is it, and are we living in one?
Maybe we should talk about where sort of celebrity culture began. Particularly, say, in the 20th century, when celebrities started happening. It must have been, early cinema or something like that, when movie stars would be noticed. And
I always thought it was a numbers game.
What do you mean?
I thought fame came about and celebrity came about purely through the number of people who know you. It's as simple as that. I mean, it's hard to be a celebrity when only 5 people know you, or only 5 people exist. A celebrity is when a substantial number of people who you are unlikely ever to come in contact with know who you are.
Yes, I think that's probably one way of putting it. But I think also...
Genghis Khan, he was a celebrity.
That doesn't quite sound right, saying that they're a celebrity. I think celebrity, what that conjures is television, media, where your face is everywhere. And I think with Genghis Khan, it wasn't the case that he was on TV, for example. So this is why I sort of see it as a sort of 20th century phenomena.
It's hard to pin down the definition. Sorry. We say Genghis Khan, or is it Genghis Khan? He wasn't a celebrity. It sounds odd to suggest that he was a celebrity. Perhaps that's because there's a hidden definition here, which is a celebrity is somebody who uses their celebrity or plays on their celebrity. A celebrity is an arrow in their quiver, where Genghis, perhaps... Well, I guess there would have been an element of notoriety and infamy, but I don't believe... It seems odd to think that he played on his celebrity, or he aspired to celebrity.
Genghis Khan was famous. He wasn't a celebrity.
Yes.
There we are. So So, in my sort of very surface knowledge of this, it seems like in the beginning, celebrities, I think they would have been celebrities because they would be where they are because they had so much talent. And, they were better than the rest of them, which is why they got to where they are, perhaps. Whereas I think these days, celebrity and talent aren't necessarily part of the same person.
How do you mean?
Well, I don't know, but it seems like ever since Big Brother, there has been
Reality TV.
Yeah, I think Big Brother might have possibly sort of got the ball rolling, where it is seen that there are people who aspire to be famous, but don't necessarily have any talent at all, and through desperate attention seeking and I don't know, all things like that, they can achieve some level of celebrity, but not necessarily have like skills like in the traditional sense. They're not actors, they're not good at anything particularly, unless you count being good at getting attention, a skill.
But has that skill not come about because of the associated wealth? So it's an opportunity to make money. So the contestants on Big Brother, they are contestants on Big Brother, not perhaps just because they want fame, but they want the attendant wealth as well. Or even primarily that's what they're after. They're after the cash prize and the supermarket opening appearance fees.
Well, I mean, we've seen these kinds of people. I'm sure we went to school with people who seem desperate for some kind of validation. There could be all sorts of psychological things going on here. It could be some insecurities or other such phenomena.
But as an overall phenomenon, is it increasing? Not just numerically, but is it increasing the need or feeling in all of us a little bit to aspire to celebrity? Just through its sheer power and ubiquity.
I don't know. I think because, again, we've discussed this in the last podcast, I think because there are now so many sort of outlets to potentially achieve fame, things like being popular on Twitter, having a YouTube channel where you post videos of yourself. There might be a little bit more pressure on people who wouldn't normally try and seek fame to kind of get in on it, because they feel like if they don't, then they're just not using the technology.
I think in terms of social media, it certainly seems as though, I guess, a sort of fame has been gamified. Ticking up your friendsters on the various social media platforms. And getting the numbers up, I think, is a little bit of a pressure. And I think that's sort of a nudge in the direction of famedom. So, I guess people think, probably rightly, that they're a lot more visible now and that their activities are scrutinized to a much greater degree. So perhaps everybody feels a little bit of the pressures associated with a celebrity lifestyle in a microcosm. And maybe it's because of the celebrity culture that this has come about. I still think the celebrity culture is ultimately down to it's a numbers game. And celebrity came about because...
You want to explain that again?
Of technology. So with the advent of technologies like films and radio and whatnot, you are able to, and indeed, we touched on this in the last podcast, we are able to communicate in a way with more and more humans who we might not ever come across. And because we have the potential to have hundreds or thousands of humans who are aware of our existence as a human, then it's a natural scale that encompasses celebrity. So if 100,000 people know what you do and who you are, but you know 7 or 8 of them, well, then there's a sort of celebrity ratio. And as technology becomes more ubiquitous and more pervasive, then such is the greatening of the power of celebrity, or the perceived power of celebrity. So if you get 20 million YouTube views you are effectively a celebrity. You're certainly classed as a celebrity in a particular medium.
I think that's true.
So it's broken down, and it's we have lots of vertical fractions now of the whole celebrity landscape. And I just think we're all sort of paying the price for fame and this attention-seeking lust that perhaps only a few of us have, but it seems to be permeating the rest of the population, thus creating this celebrity culture.
Something I thought about, which I think has been noticed, is that there are people who become celebrities sort of inadvertently, and these are the people who are genuinely talented, people with actual skills, got to where they are because they're good at what they do, that kind of thing. And then a kind of byproduct of that is celebrity. And not all of them like that, and it's problematic for them. A lot of people kind of shy away from the spotlight, but a lot of people shy away from the spotlight and then they don't, and then they get sucked into that world. And then they find themselves, as I've written here, getting just as desperate and neurotic as all of the attention-seeking wannabes, and eventually alienate everyone they know, and then quite possibly beyond that, that spiral of self-destruction that so many celebrities.
And this is known as the price of fame, I think.
Yeah, I think so. But it's obviously a great thing to begin with, because we all have egos to a certain extent, and we all need validation to a certain extent. And these are people who suddenly find themselves in a world where the people around them will be constantly telling them how amazing they are. It's like, oh man, you're so great, you're so great, and that's the people that they come in contact with. I don't think they'll be sort of necessarily heckled in the street, but what there also is because they're celebrities, now they're fair game for critics. And so in the same way that if someone's driving a Ferrari, right? Someone can hurl abuse at that guy because they're driving a Ferrari. For some reason, the fact that that person's a human doesn't really come into it. They've got a Ferrari, so they're fair game. I think it's the same thing with celebrities, or celebrity and a Ferrari. It's like, okay, well, they're on TV, therefore they're asking to be called all these names and to be told that they're looking old and to be told that, what is that? Is that a punch?
I think that's true. But rather, it's not that they're fair game, it's that they're game. To be in the game, you have to be a celebrity. Once you are a celebrity, then it's just part of the package deal. It's part of the high price you pay of being a celebrity, and the preconceptions that we all might have of celebrities is exactly that. We want to see them fail, and we want them to entertain us with their self-destruction. It's a very sort of again, it's reminiscent of gladiatorial arenas. We want to see people suffer and feel pain, and we want to see them destroy themselves. Because all celebrities are shameless, money-grubbing, horrible people, which is a terrible preconception I think a lot of people have. And I think this is fueled by the media, but we'll get to that.
Well, I think there might actually be some truth in that. See, this is the thing. There's so many parts to this. You say, they're horrible people or whatever, and I think some of them might be because they're so far removed from reality. They've sort of detached themselves because they're in a world that the rest of us aren't, in a world where people around them are always calling them great. They win a lot of awards, say. I'm talking about a successful celebrity. and I have a couple of examples of this, but I think I mentioned this to you in a couple of podcasts ago. I went to see a talk by a typographer who worked on titles for films. And one of the films he did, he worked on the film franchise of Iron Man. And the name of the actor is
Robert Downey Jr.
Yes. I keep mixing him up with Matthew Broderick. And this guy was saying that he was working with Robert Downey Jr. and he said to Robert Downey Jr., "Oh yeah, I really like your films." And Robert Downey Jr. just looked at him like with utter disdain, and then just walked away and didn't speak to him for the rest of the day. What the hell is that all about? That's not a normal human being. And this guy, this typographer, he wasn't sort of like dishing the dirt or anything. He was just like talking about it. And I said, well, what's that all about? And he said, well, we're in a professional environment, and he doesn't want to hear that in a professional environment. He's there to work. So it's just crazy. That's fair enough. But I think you can sort of steer a conversation away from that, or you can sort of like say thanks and then not talk about it again to give that person the message that, this is not an area of conversation I want to talk about it. But to behave like that is just
bestial.
As in into animals?
As in it's an animal-like behavior.
Well, to behave like that is just not normal, I'd say. And I think that's sort of an example of how these people can appear not normal. It's just like they have become inhuman on some level. And we hear these stories all the time about people who, these very rich, very entitled people who kind of have meltdowns in public. Particularly footballers. I hear a lot about them as well.
But they're under a lot of pressure. I mean, actors are in the zone, and they've taken on another persona, perhaps, and they really don't want to be jostled out of their sweet spot.
That's fine. They're under a lot of pressure. They're also paid a lot of money, but they also have it into their heads that they are extremely special people. And in some ways they are, meaning that the usual kind of rules of civility don't really apply to them. Take, for example, the actor that I can't stand, Christian Bale, when he kind of went absolutely off on one to this lighting director in the Terminator Salivation. The little instance I'm talking about.
Yeah, he had some peculiar accent as well. I guess he was in character or out of character, or he sounded very peculiar, not like he would normally sound.
His accent was sort of going from... Where is he from? He's English, isn't he?
Yes, he's British.
Is he British?
Could be Irish.
Something
I'm not
like
sure.
That. But yeah, his accent was all over the place. It was kind of a little bit like mine. It was kind of... It was kind of going from Cockney to American. But of course, I've heard people apologists for his behavior there. One of which is Mark Commode. It's like, rather than say, yeah, he acted like a total child, he was like saying, oh, well, you just don't understand. He just thought the film that he was starring in was just so rubbish. He was making a stance to the crap film that he was in. That's just ridiculous.
Now that's a backflip of a justification. He might as well have just followed that with, and when I see him for dinner next weekend,
yeah,
I'll let him know what everybody thinks.
Yes.
Fragile egos. I think I agree that celebrities of significant fame simply must lose touch with most people because, as you say, they're cosseted, they're surrounded by paid sycophants, and they simply have everything done for them. They exist on a different plane of thinking, and it's inevitable that they'll sort of lose it a little bit. And it's just whether or not it's the degree of insanity that takes them over. And as you say, some celebrities seem to hold on a little bit longer than others, and then some just seem to completely spiral out of control. And this is the drugs and alcohol and abuse and which seems so common with successful celebrities. There's depression, general mood swings, and lots of drugs and alcohol abuse. So this happens all the time. Just news stories on a weekly basis about some celebrity in rehab. Is it because of the pressure?
I think it's because of a lot of things. But I think one big part of it is encouragement. We love it. Take, for example, that idiot, Pete Doherty, the Libertines. I think he was a front person of the Libertines. I can't remember. But he was a spectacular car crash, and he would be expected to do his spectacular car crashing every time he was at an event or whatever. And we just lap it up. It's just like, it's front page fodder. It's like, oh, what's he gonna do now? Whether and it's just the most ridiculous sort of self-destruction. Amy Winehouse was the same. It's like we were all sort of cheering from. I wasn't, but there was a kind of mood of cheering from the sidelines about her debauchery and just how screwed up she was.
Well, George Best, the striker footballer in the 60s, he was plied with alcohol before his social events just to try and up the ante on excitement in terms of his self-destruction, which I think is horrendously cynical. But we literally tip the heel of people walking into the spotlight to see whether or not they'll fall, and I think it's terrible.
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying. I mean, a lot of their addictions are obviously very real, and addiction is obviously a pretty powerful thing. But it's just crazy. It's like all the rock stars that do their twatty rock star antics. It's just like, why do we put up with this? Just play your freaking guitar and shut up. It's just bizarre that they're just so entitled. They're so outspoken, and they're so megalomaniacal about it that they just make absolute knobs of themselves.
But I think anybody would make a knob of themselves if they had a camera stuffed in their face all the time. I mean, how much of this is due to the paparazzi?
I don't know if that's a reasonable observation.
But they're living in an unreal world. They're living in a sort of childish world. They are grown-ups, but what the pressures they're under... I mean, I'm not trying to build a defense for them here, but I'm saying, it's just this otherworldly life that they lead. It's bound to have repercussions on their brainstem, especially if it's sudden. If they're suddenly thrust into the limelight, thrust into fame. I think it takes a lot of neural plasticity to sort of absorb it and then to smooth it out. And I'm sure there are lots of completely reasonable, serious, popular celebrities out there who really try and keep an even keel. Matt Damon springs to mind. He seems like a completely down-to-earth, genuinely normal guy, and yet, he's a megastar.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they do exist. I think Tom Hanks is another one. They have resisted the temptation to sort of enter into a world where they become like these demigods. So, yeah, I have a lot of respect for those types. But I totally understand how it happens, because suddenly, you're hot. You're great, and you want to go to a restaurant, you phone up, you immediately have a table, you want to go to, some event, and you don't have to wait in line, and all this kind of crazy stuff.
Lots of benefits.
Yeah, lots and lots of benefits. And on top of that, you got everyone telling you you're great. I mean, that's obviously a very interesting place to be.
But I think famous people also, in the back of their mind, if not pressing on the front of their mind, they realize the transience of the state. It's not going to last forever, or even a very long time indeed. They have their 15 minutes now, and who knows what's going to happen tomorrow. So they do try and gobble as much of the cake as possible. I'm thinking of Premier League footballers. They necessarily have a very short career life. And when they are at the top of their game, they try and make the most of it. I think that's true of anybody who where fame is part of their driver. So one of their desires is to have fame. I think they're particularly aware of just how short-lived it may well be.
Probably the most tragic thing is where someone who's at the top of their game, and of course, when you're at the top of your game, there's only one direction you can go. When you're at the top of your game and then you start sort of slipping, and then people aren't interested in you anymore, it's then a very desperate spectacle of that celebrity to try and get everyone interested in them again. And again, that's something that's quite a well-known sort of phenomena. And the first person that springs to mind on that one was a former football star turned American football star turned actor called O.J. Simpson.
Oh, yes.
And he became very notorious and infamous after the Naked Gun films. But his celebrity began to wane, and he did all sorts of crazy things. It's like probably stuff you've never heard of, but he did some hidden camera comedy show. The elephant in the room here is obviously he was acquitted of a double murder. But after all that case and all the rest of it,
the glove didn't fit.
The glove didn't fit. And after all of that, one of the things he did to try and get back in the public eye was this really misguided misjudged venture into hidden camera comedy. And one of it was he was pretending to be a used car salesman, and he was trying to sell a Ford Bronco with bullet holes in the side, and filming the reaction of people to come and look at his Ford Bronco with bullet holes.
My good grief. Be jumping out of a closet with a knife next.
Yeah.
Terrible. But I mean, fading away gracefully, I think that's a particularly difficult hurdle for your average super famous celebrity. They don't want to let go. It becomes they have to slough off their previous life in order to accommodate celebrity, and then when it starts to fade away, that's all they know, and they want to cling to it. So I'm sure all standard psychologies apply here, and that anybody would react the same way. And yet I say that perhaps a large proportion of celebrities are personality types who seek attention and want to be celebrities. So the celebrities that we have are a particular type of person, and that there is a differentiator between those who are born a celebrity, those who achieve fame, and those who have fame thrust upon them, to bastardize a phrase. So there are differences. So when we think about people who achieve fame through their works, for instance, that's a different animal. That's somebody who doesn't necessarily want the fame that they have, who perhaps doesn't have the cognitive resilience to deal with the fame that they have, but achieved the fame purely through, something outstanding in whatever it is their field happens to be. So that could well be someone like a politician. Terrible example, but I'm just saying. Somebody who becomes a politician because they genuinely feel as though they need to help control their own destiny in terms of democracy, and they put themselves out there and try to drum up enthusiasm and steer the course and toe the party line, and then become a success, and then become necessarily famous. But they're not after the fame. They are... It's a side effect. It's a byproduct, and they have to try and deal with it. And then there are people who want the fame, of course. The people who want to be famous performers of some description, or they just want to be adored. They want the validation. And then there are people who are born famous. So perhaps a different type of person altogether. So these are the children of celebrities, or royalty. If you are a royal, the royal family in the UK, they are celebrities, if we're using the numbers metric. And if you're born a royal, you are a born celebrity. So you are brought up in the public eye, and you have to try and deal with that. So I've always been very interested in how you coach that. How do you teach someone how to be a celebrity? It's odd seeing these young children of our new prince's family in the UK. You sort of feel sorry for those kids, and you think, I know you're massively privileged and you have solid platinum spoons in your mouths, but even so, to have the whole world constantly watching them and have all the media outlets constantly taking photographs of their every move, I think they must have a very special education in order to try and maintain a semi-normal life. Is it fair?
Yeah, I'm not sure that really works, because if you're born famous, then you won't know any different, and it's not like you can harken back to a time when you wouldn't be hounded. It's like that's your life, and so maybe there's something in that where the people who are born famous are you need to be less worried about.
But they may have a huge pressure of expectation on them. Are they going to follow in their parents' footsteps? Is it a family trade? What are they going to do? How are they going to be scrutinized? Will everybody automatically assume that they're super privileged and that anything that they do accomplish is purely because daddy bought them an empire?
Well, I think any royal or anyone born into the royal family these days, I think needn't worry about pressure. If any of the the history of the or the 20th century history of royals is anything to go by, they needn't be particularly special people.
The royals? No, they're special in that they are celebrities. But I don't think there's anything else.
Exactly. It's like, so there's no pressure that they need to be amazing, or anything like that, or they need to be full of talent. They can just be a royal, and that's all they need to do.
Indeed. And Prince Charles, to his credit, famously said that, he could just lounge around and eat cakes all day, or words to that effect. But he said, no, I choose to build companies that are immune to corporation tax.
Yeah, you've got a thing about ventriloquizing Prince Charles. If anyone's interested in our show on the royals, it's a few episodes back, and Jeff puts up a very robust defense of Prince Charles and some of the dumb things that he's said.
But another thing that really gets me is the appearance fees. So celebrity, again, going back to our definition, you are a celebrity if a certain unknown number of people know who you are, who you don't know. This is a sliding scale, and in lockstep, we have a sliding scale of appearance fees that you can command as a celebrity. If you're a grade double Z celebrity, you could probably command £10 or £20 to open up your local supermarket. And then it goes all the way up to AAA, where you're paid literally £1 million a minute in order to give a lecture at a commencement speech at a university.
Again, that's another crazy thing that really separates us from those people. It's like we really are completely different animals. For example, there's a footballer. What the hell's his name? Oh, I'm so terrible at football.
Ronaldo?
Yeah, it is Ronaldo. Exactly that. Do you know the story?
I don't know the story, but he's mega famous football player.
Yes, he's mega famous. But not only that, but he gets paid something like $500,000 for every tweet that he tweets. I know this because I did an infographic on him.
I can imagine Ronaldo would bankrupt the United States if he tweeted McDonald's, Nike, and Apple all at the same time in the same tweet.
Yeah. Well, but my example is that the crazy money that these people make, and what's even more crazy is a lot of them who make this kind of money, their lifestyle is so expensive that they don't really see it as crazy money anymore.
It's just maintenance fees for all their 15
Yeah,
houses.
and so they will sort of complain and gripe about all the stupid kind of stuff. Or they will make noises that almost sound like the rest of us when it comes to having problems with money. And it's like, and they are so just on another world. And it's like people who are on another world, they just cannot relate to the man in the street when they complain about stuff to do with money when they earn all that money. A good example of that is Gwyneth Paltrow.
Oh, yes.
If you've ever read any of her blog posts or something, it's just such a perfect little encapsulation of someone who is not like the rest of us. It's a really, really properly another world of entitlement and privilege and just everything else.
And celebrity marriages.
Yeah, and it's just interesting for the rest of us how she can find so much to complain about within these amazing parameters that she's got herself into. It's like, it's kind of, an analogy is almost like the people who are in the city and they earn these enormous bonuses, like they, in a very high profile way, and then they complain about hating their job. It's like, okay, well, that's fine, but you are getting paid pretty well for this job that you hate. Think about someone who hates cleaning the toilet.
Yeah, it's also the difference between what you could have had and what you've lost. But I think Gwyneth Paltrow, she is peculiar in that, as you say, she can claim to have suffered in a relativistic way. And whenever I hear the relativity arguments for the suffering of celebrities, It just always makes me laugh. I'm down to my last 2 Ferraris.
Oh yeah, no. Here's a good example of that. I was reading about the band The Pink Floyd, which I actually did want to talk about because of the album The Wall, which is actually quite a good telling of this story. A little bit of Pink Floyd history here. After the principal songwriter left and the rest of the band wanted to carry on without him, I was reading the guitar player Gilmore. He's talking about how Nick Mason, he said, well, we certainly had to make some sacrifices to get money together to put this new record out. The record company that they were kind of unsure, and I think Nick had to sell one of his Ferraris. He actually said that. He actually said that, and he wasn't saying that ironically. He was actually saying that as if the guy is suffering clearly.
Obviously, the sacrifices we make, for our art.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pink Floyd's appearance fees are phenomenal, and they really do charge them. I mean, whenever you see a celebrity doing anything, whether it's charity or whatever it is, unless they are actually telling the camera directly that they are doing this for free and not charging anyone, then they are charging, and their fees are incurred.
Where'd
Their
you get that
time
from?
is money. My suspicion.
Oh, it's your suspicion. Okay.
Is that they are always charging. Celebrities are always charging. In one way or another, they're doing it. Even when they're making massive gains in terms of profile raising, which is always the first suspicion, especially when it comes to charities. But they are always charging. And there are interesting websites out there, which I'll try and track down and list on the notes, where it lists the value for appearance fees for various celebrities. And there used to be a BBC website called CelebDAC, and it was a stock market for celebrity value. And it was exactly as you would imagine. Who's hot right now and how much are they worth? Who isn't hot right now and how much are they worth? And what are the trends telling us? Who's peaking and who's imminently going to lose it? And then you could buy shares in the celebrities as though they have been floated, and it was hilarious, absolutely brilliant. And then suddenly it stopped, and it was a real shame. It was never picked up again.
Yeah, I think you need to find something to back up that claim that that bands will charge a fee for a celebrity do, because for a charity do, because that's clearly the kind of thing where if it was discovered that a band was actually getting paid to play at a charity sponsored event or whatever it is, or event that's the purpose is to give money to charity, I think that would be a scandal. In fact,
I think it is a scandal.
Yeah, I think there was something about Live 8, but I don't think it was anything to do with the bands getting paid money. I think it was to do with the bands getting really extravagant goodie bags and all this kind of thing. But I don't think they were actually getting a fee for turning up.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised when these, whenever you see any sort of event or charity appearance, there are costs. There are costs that need to be paid. There's the celebrity's entourage, the celebrity's, various construction companies for the building of stages and all the rest of it. They make very savvy investment decisions, all celebrities, because they can afford, really expensive and savvy financial advisors. So their fingers are in as many pies as possible. The number one thing that anybody is told when they hit, significant wealth and fame is that they need to diversify and they need to, have multiple revenue streams because it's transient, it's ephemeral, and you could lose it tomorrow. So, gobble that cake. And I reckon even in the charity sphere, costs must be met. And money flows towards the assets. Yes. It's a suspicion, not a claim, and I'll see what I can find and append them to the notes.
Yeah, but you're going to go into that with confirmation bias.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to seek to confirm my bias.
Yeah, but I don't blame these wealthy, rich celebrities for making money. It's there for them to make.
And also they have an extra motivation, which is if they lose their celebrity and their fame, and especially their money, then things look really grim for them. So, once you cannot no longer pay for the upkeep of your mansion and you have to move in with the ordinaries, then you are fair game again.
But yeah, I mentioned earlier the thing about Pink Floyd's The Wall, and it's definitely worth exploring because I think it very eloquently and very articulately kind of paints this picture, if I'm not mixing too many metaphors there, about what happens to an ordinary human being when he becomes successful. And in this case, it's when he's a rock star, and then he suddenly has all these adoring fans. And this whole
And then
thing came
becomes a
out of
tyrant.
well, yeah, no, this whole thing. It's interesting the story as to how this came about because Roger Waters, who is the songwriter in Pink Floyd's The Wall, he takes the music very seriously. He takes he takes it very seriously as an art form, and he was getting frustrated that the throngs of people, thousands and thousands of people who were turning up at his shows, and by that point they were they were a stadium filling band, and they just weren't sort of listening to the nuances, and they were just sort of like screaming and shouting. And some crazy guy started to climb up the front of the stage, and then Waters went over and spat on him. And then Waters suddenly had this moment of, what the hell have I become? And then the album, The Wall, was this whole story about what had happened to him to turn him into the kind of person.
Apology.
Well, the kind of what kind of circumstances arose to turn him, a normal human being, into the kind of person who would go and spit on a fan that was giving him money, say. And it's just like from that point onwards, it's like, holy crap! It's like, well, what is this? What is this machine? And it's very interesting because we are just humans, and that level of fame, that level of celebrity, what that does to our merely human brains, it turns us into animals.
Indeed. And I think the media fuels this. I think it is fueled. We want more celebrities. We want to be celebrities. And celebrity and fame is a weapon in the arsenal of media marketing. So, I mean, whenever I see any kind of advertisement these days, they're festooned with celebrities. I mean, this is not new, obviously. We go all the way back to the Marlboro Man and before, where you had celebrities at the time endorsing products. This is the most common way to advertise anything. But
who was the Marlboro Man? Was he someone famous?
I think he was a famous, or at least there was a famous cowboy-like actor who sold Marlboro. I don't think the Marlboro Man was famous. He became famous because he got lung cancer or something or other and tried to sue Marlboro.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was a terrible, horrible story.
Really? The Marlboro Man?
Lung cancer. Yeah. Well, I mean, it sort of makes sense.
Yeah, well, the bit that's a bit confusing there was he got lung cancer and then tried to sue Marlboro.
Yeah, for giving him lung cancer. Which makes sense.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. He got cancer from the product he was endorsing, so suddenly he's not so keen to endorse it. Because it actually really is dangerous. It's not good for you, like they said.
Okay, well, I presume that you might have a case if you're talking about a time before there were these cancer warning stickers on your cigarettes.
Yeah. Those cancer warning stickers appeared on packets of cigarettes because they were causing cancer. So that there had to be a movement in order to have the stickers put on the packets.
And so if you're an old enough person to have cancer and have smoked before they put stickers on there, does that mean you have a case against the tobacco companies?
Possibly not, because before the stickers, they were good for you.
Right.
Or at least that's what.
So how did Marlboro Man die then if cigarettes were good for?
Because that's a good point. Yeah. I don't know.
Sorry, this is tangential. However,
no, I was just commenting on how celebrities are obviously everywhere and they're endorsing every kind of product. But they just seem to be replacing normal people in every way as well. An example that springs to mind are the reality television programs like Strictly Come Dancing. Strictly Come Dancing is a dance competition. And I believe it has always been semi-amateurs who compete for the prize. They're not professional dancers. But back in the day, when it was just called Come Dancing, it was normal people who are not celebrities. But then suddenly they revamped the program and everybody is a celebrity on it now. So now it's completely different. And I think this is happening more and more frequently where, why would you have ordinary people on your program who may or may not be interesting and may or may not appeal to the public when you can buy in people who are preloaded with celebrity and preloaded with expectation? It's more valuable and it's easier. Similarly, an analogy might be the comic book films, the films that are based on all the comic books, Marvel and DC comics. You're bringing in the expectations. You're not creating anything new. You're buying in the expectations. So you know sort of what you're going to get. And it makes the response from the public more predictable. So if you have a bunch of celebrities, like I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, another reality TV program, I think perhaps one of the first of its kind. Must have followed Big Brother. But this is where you have seemingly desperate celebrities, quite low-ranking celebrities, and you put them in together in horrible circumstances, and they have to compete with each other. And all the while, they are wanting to increase their profile and increase their value, their celebdac value, which is true of all of the reality TV programs where there are celebrities. The celebrities want to up their profile. And you only need to open up the back pages of any newspaper, especially tabloids, to see that this is true, because you'll see every single celebrity on the programs having a 5-date, 15-date, 20-date tour of whatever it is they do. Book now, because tickets are going fast. So obsessed we all are with celebrity. Their value just goes straight through the ceiling, purely because they're on everybody's telly. So we're talking about infamy now, whereby we have celebrities, again, low-ranking celebrities, who might take risks or risk humiliating themselves in order to up their profiles. And it's this sort of humiliation that it would seem appeals to a lot of the public. They want to see these celebrities pay. And in I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, they pay by humiliating themselves. And whoever is best able to humiliate themselves and still remain a good sport win. They win the hearts of the public. So the celebrity sort of slums it for a while and then gets paid loads and returns to their jet set lifestyle while having won the hearts of the public. It's like they're there to get a ringing endorsement from the public. It's a crazy world we live in.
So you've got a list here of infamy. So what's the deal with the Cray twins? What was their infamy?
So they were celebrities. They were infamous in that they achieved celebrity through nefarious means.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought
they were.
Yeah, I got it.
Sadist narcissists, and they're lauded. People talk about them. Movies are made. They were celebrities in their lifetime. They've been glamorized through celebrity. Ronnie Biggs, he's another one, the great train robber, a filthy criminal, and yet enjoyed quite a bit of the fame that he that was directed at him. And then you can go all the way back to Al Capone and John Dillinger and all those gangsters.
That is a very curious one. The whole lionizing of these scumbag murderers, like the Crays and all these other East End gangsters. But I mean, I'm not alone in finding that very strange.
It's repulsive, but celebrity nonetheless.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
So we have talk shows in our list of topics here. And I think it's an important one because talk shows and talk show hosts are feeders for the celebrity culture, I think. That's where the celebrities are pumped into us, into our brains. You have this endless sequence of talk shows and then an endless procession of celebrities, all trying to sell whatever it is they do, usually themselves, but their products as well. Films and, music, mostly. And you wonder whether they like doing it. Do they, a book tour? Does anybody really want to do that? I mean, they want the money, they want the adoration, but the actual process itself, it's become incredibly formulaic, and I can't tell the difference between any two talk shows. They look identical to me. All the same format, all the same celebrities, all trying to ply the same goods. And, how much more of this can we take? I mean, just how much should we care? So many celebrities have been exposed as charlatans or as monsters. It's terrible, but they're shoved down our throats constantly, every night.
What talk shows are you talking about?
All of them.
Name some.
Okay, so in the UK we have Graham Norton, we have Alan Carr, we get Jimmy Kimmel, Conan O'Brien, David Letterman, although he's gone, he's been replaced by somebody. Perhaps he's been replaced by Stephen Colbert.
I have no idea. I don't watch any of these shows.
There are loads and loads and loads, and it's just all of them will have 5 or 6 celebrities, and the celebrities will talk about an interesting anecdote or talk about another talent that they may or may not have, and it's just this whole star-spangled aspirational trough that we're all meant to bend in front of. I just think, isn't there anything else? Is this what entertainment is now?
So I guess this brings us on to internet and social media, which I think is very important in this field because historically we've always had attractive people on our screens. They're on TV because they suit the TV format. They are good looking. They can talk in a way which is much better than I can talk, for example. They can string sentences together, etc., etc. But thanks to the internet and social media, we now have normal people celebrities. By normal people, I mean people who aren't attractive, who can't string sentences together, who have speech impediments, who aren't, loaded. They are just normal people. I mean, granted, I'm not interested in them, but a lot of people are. And there are very well-known YouTube sensations, for example. And you look at their subscriber base, and it's like, 1 million plus quite often. And that's the internet. This is what the internet has done. It's meant that normal people can dip their bread in this gravy.
I think it's a good thing because I think it's a little bit more accurate in terms of determining what popularity is. So if we're thinking of YouTube, are there any alternatives? I think there is only YouTube for videos.
Daily Motion.
Right. So on YouTube...
No, hang on. This is a quick digression, but Daily Motion is actually quite good because the YouTube copyright police, haven't gotten to Daily Motion. So every time, I might have put something in my bookmarks on YouTube that I want to watch later, and I go back to see it, and it says, this video has been removed from, an injunction from this production company or whatever it is. Chances are it'll be on Daily Motion. It's like, oh, well, I can just go and watch it there in better quality without having an ad in my face, for example. It's only a matter of time before, their tentacles spread far and wide.
But if you're not interested in execution videos, I think the meritocratic aspects of YouTube, where you have the subscribers and you have the thumbs up and thumbs down, that's great because movie stars don't really have that. They have sycophantic critics, and they have the nonsense of the payment structure of films and movies and cinemas, which we've spoken about in a previous podcast. So I think it's a lot less straightforward to ascertain the value of an actor or a mainstream celebrity figure. But on YouTube, if somebody's really, really popular, well, then you can see they're popular because they have 30 million subscribers. Why else would they have 30 million subscribers? Unless they're buying subscribers from the Far East, which I can't imagine is impossible. Yes. But I think it lowers the bar of entry for sure. And it increases the breadth of appeal. And I think the internet is where entertainment is heading. I think, that we are all going to be involved in not just entertainment, but the world of information, and which leads to celebrity and fame. I think everybody has a much greater access to everybody else. The world is shrinking, and we can all have our 15 minutes. So we'll see.
Yes, no, I completely agree with that. And as I said, I don't subscribe to any of these people, but I think it's great that they exist. And also, I think it's great because it means that information will just proliferate. It's like you can't sort of keep a lid on anything anymore. And I think with all these sort of pundits, having their own YouTube channel and whatever, stuff will get talked about. Nothing's sort of off the table.
Which is fabulous. That's exactly what we all want, and that's what we should be fighting for.
Yes.
If there isn't anything else, we have not thought of a topic for next time. If you have any suggestions or any feedback, please pop along to our website, eclecticist.co.uk. There's a list of all of our previous shows and the show notes for all of our shows as well. Our outro music of choice this time is open source again, and we're not going to get sued. It is the most famous classical composer of all time, according to many polls that I could find. It is Johann Sebastian Bach, and this is the Open Goldberg Variations by Kimiko Ishizaka. Now, this is an amazing Kickstarter project where they put together Bach's music, recorded it all professionally done, professional performers. Everything is as it would be if you were to commission Deutsche Grammophon to do the recording. But they open sourced it all. They recorded it all and put it out there for free for everyone, which is fantastic. This is the aria, which is fabulous. Please have a listen. It's wonderful music. We'll see you next time. Thank you very much, and good evening.